Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 72 of the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Mr. Tom Haggis.
Buongiorno. Did I get that right?
I don't know.
Hang on. Buongiorno. Jean Reno is sitting right here. He's teaching me how to speak French.
Nice. Tell him I said hi. Second, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Mr. Gabriel Rowald.
Oui, oui. I don't know.
Oh, God, I forgot
just
to
a
do
bad
something.
French accent.
I forgot to do something before the show started. Thanks for reminding me, Gabe.
Oh, yes. That is a warning to all of our listeners. Be sure to go to the bathroom now before you get too far into the show.
Oui, oui.
Third, writer, actor, and the man your mama warned you about, Mr. Kyle Fine.
I don't know, Harry. The French are assholes.
Fourth, writer, actor, and called in sick last month. Sorry, Tom. I shouldn't have told you he was on his deathbed. That was a cruel joke to get your hopes up. Mr. Tosh Dillinger.
Great to be back. First, I want to say that I'm sorry to Tom. No reason, just want to say sorry. Second, because we're covering romantic comedy, everyone knows that albinos are great lovers. I want to be called the great albino lover the rest of the podcast. Or the French version, Le Grand Amant Blanc.
Well, we're really lucky because you were cutting out while you were saying what names you wanted to be.
That was on purpose.
Nice. All right. Whew. Okay. Do we have any bad French accents we need to get out of the way? Any more of them, I guess, from Tom's? No? Okay. I had Monty Python going through my head.
No, I plan to visit there someday, so I'm going to keep it to a minimum.
Fair enough.
Wait. Before I taunt you a second time.
There you go. So we have two competing films from 1995, both romantic comedies, and both take place in France. Now, is this another Dante's Peak versus Volcano, Armageddon versus whatever the other movie was?
Deep Impact?
There you go. I hate that movie so much. So anyway, I wanted to ask you guys, do you think this was another one of those times where a studio saw it and another studio and they're like, hurry, let's get this done?
It was.
It was.
I don't know the answer yet, but I bet I can guess which one came first and which one came later.
All right.
My guess would be that Forget Paris was first and French Kiss was later, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
I didn't want to take trivia away from you, but I do have a piece of trivia about the two movies.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Billy Crystal was working on Forget Paris and caught wind that Larry Kasdan was working on French Kiss. But at the time, the movie had the unfortunate title Paris Match was the name of it. Uh-huh. And Billy Crystal freaked out and ran to the MPAA and waved his arms and said, I'm making a movie called Forget Paris. He can't call his movie that and come out within a couple months of mine. And the MPAA agreed and went to Larry Kasdan. And Larry Kasdan was very like, what? Seriously? He copyrighted the word Paris?
Right.
And then they had to change their name to French Kiss, which I think is fortunate because Paris Match is a stupid name for a movie.
Terrible.
It is a very
Terrible.
stupid.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, and he admits so. He goes, it's fine with me because French Kiss is better. And the quote that he says, it doesn't say that the title's better. He just says French Kiss is better. So
Nice. All right.
let's see what he thinks of his own movie.
So, Gabe, what'd you say? What came out first?
My guess would have been that Forget Paris came first, or was in production first.
Well,
or was it the other way
you
around?
ready for this?
I don't know.
French Kiss was released May 5th, 95.
Okay.
Forget Paris, May 19th of 95.
Really?
Two weeks?
Yes.
Wow.
That's some.
Yeah. That's virtually simultaneous.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing both films in the theater for some reason. I don't even know.
Probably because of a girl. I'm just going to guess.
Probably. Probably.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, we've already told the listeners what we're talking about, but let's poke the monkey and let him do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, history teachers and referees, welcome to the main event. Tonight, our two films will fuss it out in the feud of the Franks to see who is funnier and lummier, and who will wave the white flag of defeat. In the first quarter from 1995, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, written by Adam Brooks, starring Meg Ryan, Kevin Kline, and Timothy Hutton. French Kiss! In the second quarter from 1995, directed by Billy Crystal and written by Billy Crystal, Lowell Gaines, and Babalu Mandel. Starring Billy Crystal, Deborah Winger, and Joe Mantegna. Forget Paris!
Okay, well, let's move on to our first round, which is writing.
Well, it's interesting. I'd like to hear your guys' input on Forget Paris and the kind of technique, the device that they used to tell the story. Because I kind of liked it, although I feel like nowadays maybe a lot of people would find it a little bit cliche. The whole, a lot of times in some of the writing courses I've taken, and a lot of the advice you get on writing a film is don't use voiceover. In some instances it works well, but essentially with these people, each of these people in Forget Paris telling this story, it essentially kind of becomes voiceover of them telling what's happening a little bit. But I really liked how it was also the same story told from different points of view. And I thought that the whole dinner conversation and all of his friends telling this story from their own points of view was an interesting approach. And I'm just wondering what you guys thought of that, and if you thought that was cliche or if you liked it.
So sorry, you want to go first, Tom?
No, I really don't. Go ahead.
Okay. So obviously the two storytelling methods are very different. I really found myself liking Forget Paris's way they told the story. I understand what you're saying about the voiceover. I think that's difficult because at some points it feels like cheating, maybe. But I think it was used really effectively in that movie, and I found that to be, especially with my experience watching romantic comedies, a lot of them feel very formulaic. They feel very similar, and this was at least something different. And I think, Forget Paris was written and directed by Billy Crystal, and you can really tell that. I honestly think, to his detriment at some point, some of the things he goes off on, his rants that appear to be like from his stand-up shows you would have seen on HBO, I think those things kind of slow down and take away from the movie a little bit at times, for me personally. But you could feel his humor in it, and I actually think it had a lot more structure and sense to it than Forget Paris did. Or sorry, French Kiss. I'm gonna fuck that up all night. French Kiss just felt very cookie cuttery, sort of. The beginning was, the ending of this relationship that I feel had no life to it. I didn't feel like there were any stakes between them. I mean, it started off with her basically admitting she lied about $40,000 to your significant other, which seems like a big deal, even if it is a surprise. Like, seems kind of bad. But I never got the feeling that they were actually in love or that there was anything going on. It felt more natural the way things happen, I suppose. In Forget Paris, which is saying something because that's a pretty unreasonable situation, I think. But it felt more true to life, and I enjoyed the way they told that story better. French Kiss just had too many little things going on that I didn't think were great side plots or like through lines that kind of felt thrown together, and the relationships didn't feel nuanced in any way or very real. It's one of those problems I have with romantic comedies. You're not given any reason to like understand why these people would actually love each other and want to spend time with each other, other than that they're both going through something sometimes, or they're both very attractive and they meet under strange circumstances, and you just kind of have to buy into it, and that's hard for me. I felt like it was more natural and believable in Forget Paris, although both movies suffer, I think, a little bit. Forget Paris maybe more so, of too much exposition, just explaining too much stuff, and that's what some of the voiceover got into the territory of at some points. It's telling so much of the story before you get into it, or it's like leading you through it, that I felt a little cheated from just watching the story unfold. But I liked Forget Paris's approach better.
Yeah, I felt French Kiss was very predictable from a writing standpoint. I mean, I knew exactly what was going to happen, from the moment it started, basically.
And for me, that's a trap that a lot of romantic comedies fall into, is they feel very similar. Because they're basically a story of two people who you never think are going to meet and fall in love, meeting and falling in love. And so it's told the same way over and over again, just in different circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Kyle or Tom?
Oh,
Tosh?
I guess I hear what you guys are saying, and I get into it in acting and where French Kiss makes up for their kind of predictable story. But part of the problems, I really like both of these movies, and they're kind of welded in my mind. When I watch one, I usually wind up watching the other one. But for some reason, Forget Paris this time, I don't know, maybe I'm watching it now through the guise of like 17 years of marriage, and now I'm just kind of like, yeah. When she gets to the end, he's like, are we going to make it? I'm just like, it doesn't look good, guys. Whereas I feel like the couple in French Kiss have built a kind of a firmer foundation, but maybe that's from the formula, maybe that's why the formula works, is because people's expectations at the end, they leave with a feel-good feeling, and French Kiss kind of follows the rules. But I'll agree with what you said. The narration, like as soon as the movie started and they started with their narration, I was just kind of like watching it through my hands going, oh my God, I forgot about this part of this. And the other thing is too, the way that I kind of got the feeling Billy Crystal wrote it the way he did. It was like, oh, I'll make him an NBA ref and I can have a bunch of NBA guys in my movie and I get to meet them. And at the same time, if you're a guy going to see this, you're sitting down in the movie theater and like, oh, hey, look, Dan Marley, Chuck Barley, this won't be, holy cup, Charles Barkley. And this.
I want to know who Chuck Barley is.
Charles Barkley. So anyway, sorry, Charles. They do that trick where they're just like, hey, it's got sports in it, guys. And, then you sit down and you're an hour into it. You're like, oh, God damn it, this is a romantic movie. Like what they did with Jerry Maguire. It's the same thing. Yeah. But I love sports, and so I will fall for it every time.
I did
you
think
couldn't have picked a better actor to be a referee, though, than Billy Crystal. He's like 5 feet tall.
He's 5'7". He's 5'7", and
I don't know. He just looks so short. Maybe it's because he was basketball players. But
he towers over me at 5'7".
I thought, I've never seen either of these movies before. I watched them actually today, this morning. I just thought French Kiss was just, I struggled like watching all the way through, because it was just like, here's a character. Oh, here's another character. And what's this point of this character? Oh, let's not build any character. Let's throw another character here, another character here. It was just, to me, it was just a mess. It was just, there wasn't any flow to it, which, Forget Paris, I thought, the storytelling mechanism he used worked really well because it helped build character. And I didn't feel that in I'm gonna fuck it up too all day.
Better get that explicit label out right now.
Yeah, right. Yep. So yeah, I would definitely go Forget Paris over French Kiss, because it's It was a disaster to me. I did not like it at all.
Well, I was talking with Amanda because she watched Forget Paris with me last night. And I said, I believe, and it's just my opinion, but I believe Forget Paris is more, you're going to have more male fans of Forget Paris. It seems like it goes more towards the male in the relationship. You see, like you go to a rom-com, you got the man, the woman sitting there, and but I mean, it could be man, or woman. But I'm just saying, from my standpoint, it seems more geared towards the guys, even though it is a rom-com, where French Kiss is just a normal rom-com about a woman. You know, it's more female centric, and I just thought Forget Paris was a little more male centric.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting observation, and I think I would definitely agree with that. It on a certain level, it does seem more, Forget Paris seems more oriented toward a male audience, even when it comes to the relationship part of it. And French Kiss is maybe more female oriented,
Right.
perhaps. But I didn't feel like it really built up. French Kiss to me didn't really build up the relationship, the reasons why they were together as much. It was just kind of assumed that oh, she hates French people, and then this French guy is going to show up, and they're going to get together. And I personally didn't feel like it really built up what brought them together.
Right.
In the end, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I missed something. But whereas I really felt like Forget Paris spent a lot more time on building their relationship and the difficulties in it, and therefore making their reunion a little bit sweeter, because you saw what they went through and what they may have to deal with, and it makes it more compelling to me.
I think
So-
one of the things I want to real quick. What's really interesting is that one of these movies takes place pretty much entirely in France, and the other movie only takes place in France for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that the two in Forget Paris are like trying to recreate their time in Paris in the United States, and they're basically trying to get what Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline have in French Kiss.
Yeah.
You know, the chateau in France and living in the vineyard and going, up to the Eiffel Tower and everything. But I don't know. I mean, I think I prefer the story in French Kiss. So I don't know what that says about me according to Mike's little theory. But I find the Forget Paris story kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's too real, or it's like it's so real it tries too hard to be real. And with them, breaking up and getting back together and stuff like that, I like the French Kiss, the front that Meg Ryan puts on at the beginning of the movie, and how Luke just kind of chips away at it, and eventually they get to know each other, and it's very formulaic, and I'm a sucker for that in this case. Sorry.
Fair enough. That's all right. All right, we're going to put this to a vote, but I wanted to say one of my favorite lines was in Forget Paris, when he's like, well, his dad fought in the war. I think he was on our side. And when they're loading him onto the plane, I got a chuckle out of that. All right, let's go ahead and vote. Gabe.
I'm going to go Forget Paris.
All right, Kyle.
Forget Paris.
Tom.
I'm gonna go French Kiss. Let's stand up.
All right, and Tosh.
Tom, you're wrong. Forget Paris.
Oh. There's not a whole lot of trivia about the writing of either of these films, but Adam Brooks, the writer of French Kiss, has a brief role as perfect passenger, quote unquote, the guy who is taking his shoes off when Kate first gets on the plane to Paris.
With the neck brace and everything.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
That's the writer?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's an M. Night Shyamalan level.
It is.
Did he
Putting
write
himself
himself
in the
into
movie.
that role? He's like, I've got the perfect role.
I don't know. Like what happens in Forget Paris, Billy Crystal and his wife Janice were hanging out in a restaurant with friends when they got the idea for the film. They were reliving funny moments and talking about the realities of marriage after the honeymoon is over. In creating the film, Crystal was joined by writers Lowell Gans, Babaloo Mandel, which might be one of the greatest names ever.
Yeah.
And longtime collaborator Rob Reiner. So yeah, there you go.
Babaloo Mandel sounds like a character he played on Saturday Night Live.
It does. It absolutely does. All right, let's move on. Yeah,
Are
go
they
ahead.
related to Howie Mandel?
I don't know.
His brother Babaloo?
Yeah,
Yeah, Howie
weird
and Bob
family.
makes sense.
there's a weird family. All right, let's move on to our second round, which is acting.
I have to start this by saying one thing. I was never a Billy Crystal fan. I didn't get it. I didn't really like him. I didn't think his stuff was particularly funny. And that came probably from a place of not really seeing much of him, but what I saw I didn't enjoy. But he grew on me in Forget Paris. And by the end, I actually really enjoyed his acting. I think sometimes, like I said earlier, when he kind of goes off on his rants that seem kind of drawn right from his stand-up, some of them were hit or miss to me. Deborah Winger started off, I was a little cool on her, but I grew to like her. The supporting cast is adequate in that movie. The stuff with the basketball players, I think, is very funny. Getting them to act is always great because they're usually so bad at it. And David Robinson yelling at Charles Barkley, and that was funny, and I really enjoyed it. It felt a lot more real to me and a lot more emotionally honest. Their relationship, the way they acted. French Kiss, I think, first of all, Kevin Kline is insane for taking on the role of playing a nationality everyone knows he's not. It's not like a British actor learning an American accent. It'd be like, well, I think Josh Hartnett did it once in a movie where he's an American who goes and does a British accent, but it almost never happens that an American actor would try to portray another nationality. It's almost always the other way around. And I think he did an admirable job at it. I've actually, I've been to Paris, but I can't speak for the authenticity of his accent. But I thought he was very good, and I thought he went for it. And it was slightly cartoonish, but it wasn't outlandish. It wasn't like a Pink Panther situation where it's so over the top that it's ridiculous, right? So he treaded that line, and I think Kevin Kline is a fantastic actor. And I think it's an incredibly brave decision to try to play a Frenchman. Everyone knows you're American. Jean Reno was good. I wish we would have fired more guns. He had a very small part in the movie. I kind of don't know. The whole backstory about how he got that scar on his neck and was almost killed, that was never explained. Kevin Kline goes from what we think is like just a thief to being like a super criminal. He can fight people, and he can escape, and he steals cars, and he hides on trains. And Meg Ryan just kind of didn't do it for me. I feel like she's doing that thing she had been doing that whole night when she was like kind of the America's Sweethearts. She's being fun, but I don't know. It didn't strike a chord with me. But I think they're both adequately done. I just think Kevin Kline's nuts for trying to play a French person when everyone knows he's not French, but he's a very good actor, so it almost works.
Well, I read in the trivia, originally it was offered to Gerard Depardieu.
Oh, God.
Can you think of two actors more opposed than Kevin Kline and a drunken Frenchman
Right.
who has so many legal issues and stuff?
Here's the thing. I think when it comes down to these two movies, I just feel like Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline had better chemistry than Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger. And I will admit that ever since I was like 10 and a half years old, I've always had a crush on Deborah Winger. I don't know what it is. I think she strikes me as one of those people's like I could totally see being related to her. Like she would fit really well into our family dynamic. So, that whole boys marry girls like their mother, we'd totally hit it off. But I think Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline just had better chemistry. I mean, Deborah Winger just basically sat there and like smirked at Billy Crystal's stand-up stuff. And they just had these really long monologues, and the other person just kind of stood there. And I don't know. I just felt like Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger didn't really have the same chemistry that Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline did. And I think that's where French Kiss, well, I mean, admittedly, their script might not be quite as strong. The story, anyway, might not be as strong as Forget Paris. I feel like that's where they make it up. And French Kiss has a handful of like just moments where I laugh out loud, and that's because of their acting. I liked Meg Ryan in the mid '90s. I thought she was absolutely adorable and fit the bill, and she seemed very easy to play again. She did this a lot until she blew up that helicopter in that war movie. So, I mean, really, that's when she jumped the shark, right?
Yeah.
When
Yep.
the war movie. So
And cheated on her husband.
I thought Dennis Quaid cheated on her.
No, she cheated with what's his face from Gladiator. I'm going blank.
Russell Crowe.
Russell
Russell
Crowe.
Crowe.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were in a movie together, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. The ransom
Proof of
side
Life
of
or
it.
something.
Proof of Life.
Yep.
There's another one where it was ransom versus Proof of Life.
Wait, I thought she was married to Randy Quaid.
No,
No.
Dennis.
Oh no, that was a joke. That'd been great though. She's still alive and they're all weird and living in Canada.
I still got my fingers crossed for Inner Space 2. I still think they can work shit out and make that happen. Anyway, so for me, it comes down to chemistry, and I just feel like Kate and Luke had better chemistry, and it was just a more fun pairing. And they both did a pretty good job against the cardboard cutout Timothy Hutton. Seriously, he always looks like a real estate agent, like standing in front of a house pointing at it. Just
Whatever that guy got paid for this movie, it was too much. He's in it for like 10 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. What did people think of Kevin Kline's French accent?
I
thought it sounded like
terrible.
an American doing a French accent, and
I didn't think
And
it was too bad, but
I think-
don't
I know
think
it's
it wasn't the worst I've heard, but it's still. I still feel like couldn't they have gotten a sexy French actor to play that role?
No.
well,
Who
I
would
think
you
that's
have
what
cast?
that's what they
I
do.
don't
That's-
know, but
You're looking at that though in 2017. I think back in 1995 they were looking for two big Hollywood stars to run this vehicle. I think nowadays they'd find some French actor and put it up against somebody, and
well, I even thought Jean Reno would have been better.
Ew.
I mean,
Whew.
God,
I like him, but
like him too,
and at least he's actually French.
They should have made him do an American accent and pretend to be an American cop on
Yep.
a cop exchange. That'd
Yep.
be great.
Right.
Yep. It would totally flip the movie for all of us. I've been totally about French
Yeah, I
kiss.
don't know.
What about you talked about chemistry? The kissing scene between Meg Ryan by the couch there. That kiss is terrible.
on the
he's
train.
When she's
No, like she's on a couch and he's like falling asleep, and like he's right by her face, and they start kissing there, and it was really.
That's on the train.
Yeah,
That's on
that's
a
on the
train.
train.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as many cigarettes as he smoked, she would have fucking woke up in a second.
Yeah, she would have known.
She would
But
like,
she opens her eyes at one point. I watched that and she opens her eyes. So unless she's having some sleep paralysis or a dream, or she can't see when she has her eyes open at night, like she should know that's him. I was waiting for her to freak out and realize it was him, but she just closes her eyes
he did.
again, and I'm like, I don't understand.
He totally inhales her face. It's like Jaws coming right at her. It's like it was just ridiculous.
That was a true French kiss.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
that scene is where the movie got its title. As we
The
heard
mustache creates a bigger illusion of him swallowing her face too, I think. It's like draped over her top lip.
That's,
Yeah, and I guess I was a little underwhelmed with Meg Ryan in there as well. She was kind of funny. She kind of played the neurosis pretty well, but I was kind of like, I just don't find her all that compelling. And I'm with Tom. I have a little bit more of a crush on Deborah Winger than I would on Meg Ryan. And I felt like Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger were more genuine. I felt like they were more relatable as far as they did seem more real, and that was one of Tom's criticisms of it. But to me, that drew me to it. It was a more relatable story to me. Now, some of the supporting cast, I like those actors, but they played it a little bit more comical. They weren't quite as genuine or believable like some of the supporting cast in Forget Paris. But I really liked Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger together. It just felt more real to me than Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan in French Kiss.
I guess, the whole thing with the two of them going back and forth on their careers and everything, how one was up and one was down. I was like, yep, that's life. That's what being married is, when the one person's down, you help the other person up. It's like, right. We don't need to watch a whole fucking movie about it. So, and to Meg Ryan's cuteness, I think part of it's in hindsight. I mean, back then in the moment, you're just like, oh, this is really enjoyable. Like, Hootie and the Blowfish or Coolio at the time. You're just like, you look back on it and you're like, when was this awesome? I don't remember. This was, and it's.
And why?
I know. And it's like, really? Like everyone was into this at the time? Like, yes, it was. It was just the style at the time. Meg Ryan and Coolio and Hootie and the Blowfish. You liked it and nobody questioned it. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Well, I have to say, Amanda pointed it out when we were watching it. Deborah Winger's smile is just great. Like, she has a really great smile. But I have to agree. Meg Ryan cuteness is just cuteness. I love watching her. She's adorable in my eyes. You guys ready to vote?
You.
All right. Yeah. And I do have to say real quick, I love Jean Reno. And that's why I like watching the movie, is I get to see Jean Reno every once in a while. All right, let's vote. Kyle.
I'm going to go with Forget Paris, but I do have to put a little asterisk because Kevin Kline should get props for even trying that shit, because it seems crazy.
All right, I put an asterisk by your vote.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It might make the difference.
Gosh.
Kevin Kline should just worry about being our president and Dave. I'm going with French Kiss. No, just kidding. Forget Paris.
All right. Tom.
I have to negate Tosh's vote again, so French Kiss.
That's what we do. That's why it's called Cinesmack.
We're eventually just going to kick off the show and cut half an hour off of it.
Yeah, we'll just be able to eliminate you guys because your votes will always cancel out. Yeah. So we'll just...
Gabe.
I'm going to go with Forget Paris because I felt like the performances were a little more genuine.
All right. Well, and while watching it, I'm like, wait, most of those guys were in Space Jam. Well, no, just Charles Barkley. All the other guys weren't. But, they're all basketball players, right? Kevin Kline had a professor to coach him with the French, to speak it as a Frenchman. He studied French during his junior high school years and a year in college. He didn't learn to speak it until he went to Alliance Française in New York. Français? I don't know. Français. After this movie, Deborah Winger took herself out of the limelight of top movie roles and stopped acting altogether for about 6 years. She later said she had been thinking about quitting and had wanted to spend time with her dying mother. Yeah, I was reading she did not come back till 2001. I can't remember what movie it was, but yeah. There you go. Sorry to bring it down at the end there.
Yeah, that's a little...
Jeez, who's got the next category? That's so sad sack of shit.
Let's move on to directing.
Okay, so that's me, and I'm excited about this because first of all, I love Lawrence Kasdan because if without him, we wouldn't have Empire Strikes Back or Silverado, two of the greatest movies of all time. Right. Although he didn't direct them, I think he directed Silverado, but he wrote both of them too. Anyway, so directing on French Kiss, I felt like Billy Crystal's directing on Forget Paris might have been better had someone else directed it. Meaning that I'm always leery of people who direct and star in their movies at the same time. I don't know how you do that, how you get the performance that you know you want and the shot that you want. And I think it's a bad idea, Ben Affleck. So I think Lawrence Kasdan does the better job in French Kiss because, first of all, he does a really great job with the composition and setting up shots. And I don't know. I can feel his hand when I'm watching the movie in the choices that he makes, and I think it makes a much more engaging movie. I also think, and we don't talk about this very often, I feel like the costuming in French Kiss is a lot better than in Forget Paris. Forget Paris was kind of bleh, but I felt like the French Kiss costuming was really, really well thought out. In particular, Kate's outfits. I can't believe I'm fucking talking about this. If you really want, listen to me. Listen, if you want a lesson in really good costuming and what it can do to help accentuate a movie. Do you guys remember in Citizen Kane when the two of them are sitting across the table and it speeds through time?
Oh yeah.
She's wearing, she opens and she's wearing the real kind of revealing nightgown, and her neckline as the dress kind of closes up around her neck as it goes on and things get tense. If you go back through and you watch French Kiss, Meg Ryan's wardrobe throughout the movie does the exact opposite. When it starts at the beginning, it's very up and around her neck and it's very tense and tight. And then
at the end, she's naked.
You pretty much, yeah. Right. So,
It was
and
unexpected full frontal, but I'm okay with it.
there's this running
What
thing.
version
There's
did
this
you see?
running theme through the entire movie of the neckline of her shirts and her neck. And there's a whole reveal with the necklace that they use. And it's actually really interesting the way they use that to kind of show how she's relaxing and everything else. And it's Joanne Johnson. Did I say that right? Shoop, boop, boop. I'm never going to find it on here.
I'll look it up. Keep going.
So I think it's Joanna Johnson. She did the costuming for recently. She did the BFG and Allied and Saving Private Ryan. I mean, she's Spielberg's costumer of late. So
Joanna Johnston.
So she does a really great job, and I think that's one of the things I really like about French Kiss. But I just feel like Larry Kasdan did a much better job of using the camera to help tell the story, where in Forget Paris, it was just, again, it's like, hey, let's do Billy Crystal stand-up about marriage and people not having sex for weeks at a time. Like, okay, like, we've heard that, so.
I can see that. I agree with you. I noticed in French Kiss, there were quite a few shots I really liked, especially the one at the corner when they both go their separate ways. I really liked that shot.
Yeah.
Some of the train stuff, though, and I know it was the 90s, just it looked fake as all get out. I mean, the opening scene with the plane, I think they were doing that on purpose, just
I think so. Yeah.
trying to get people like, is this real or is this not? And then you find out it's not, which was very funny, by the way. I have to agree with you. I think Billy Crystal, this was his second directorial job, and he was acting and producing and writing it. And I think he was more worried about his performance than camera. But that's where you need a DP that can that you can trust and say, okay, I want to do this. And maybe let them figure it out.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm trying to rack my brain thinking of movies I really like where the director is in it, is one of the main actors, that it's tough to figure that out. But I don't know.
Well, where it was good, are you saying?
Yeah. I mean,
Ides of March. Remember we talked about Ides of March.
We did, but George Clooney, I mean, he's only got like 4 or 5 scenes in the whole movie.
Right.
So,
well, that's true. Well, Eastwood, Unforgiven.
there you go. That's one.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good example.
That's a really good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say you.
But
you
they
mentioned
are
Ben
hard
Affleck.
to think of, aren't they?
They are
hard
very
to think
difficult.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what Tom's saying.
You mentioned Ben Affleck. You might throw Argo into that category because that's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, I thought that was Tom punching the microphone.
No,
It's like, you're wrong, Gabe.
Yeah.
Tom doesn't agree with you.
I want to make a quick comment about the costuming. I agree with Tom that I didn't really think about it, but when he mentioned it, I thought it was a good point. However, one thing I did notice is that Kevin Kline's jackets were really poor fitting. They just did not fit well, and it drove me nuts because they all looked way too big. His leather jacket, and then he was wearing like a kind of a sport coat or suit jacket later. It just looked like he was swimming in them. And I don't know, maybe that was a conscious decision because he wasn't the kind of guy who would know how to find clothes that would fit properly. I don't know. But that's one thing that kind of drove me nuts. And I remember consciously thinking that. It's like, man, I wish his clothes fit.
Isn't that kind of a 90s thing, though?
It could have been. And, and again, it could have been a conscious choice. I don't know. But it's one thing that, as far as costuming, I'm not usually super duper conscious of it. But that's one instance where I was like, God, I just wish they fit.
I just throw this out. I don't really know what he does for a living, but the jacket might have been stolen.
Oh, that's true.
True. It's true. Yeah.
He may have swiped it at a party. So
yeah, it's true. And like I said, it may have been a conscious choice, and we don't know that. But that's one thing that kind of drove me nuts. Although your other points I thought were really, it did make a lot of sense. It was kind of interesting look at costuming and how it builds character. It's not just so the actors aren't naked.
Yeah. Thanks.
So I think there are... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I actually agree with Tom quite a bit in this area. I think when I think back on these movies I watched them like I think 10 days apart or something like that. I watched Forget Paris quite a while ago. But I feel like the camera was moving a lot more. There were better setup shots in French Kiss. I think Forget Paris does suffer from Billy Crystal wearing so many hats. Sometimes he's just pointing a camera at himself and like filming himself doing stand-up at Deborah Winger, which I think works okay because I think he's funny and engaging, and the editing and the way it's put together, it feels like a cohesive story, but at times you really feel it. I think some of the better work he did is filming himself in the background or reacting to things, like when he has her dad in and he's stumbling around repeating, "You want it, you got it, Toyota," over and over and over again. His reactions to it are great. And when they're in the car together and she starts doing it as well, that look of panic on his face that she's going to start acting like her father. But I think that's best when he's not the focus of the scene. When it's pointed at him, I feel like he lost a little bit of his objectivity of what was good or what was an interesting shot. French Kiss has the running themes, like Tom said, the costuming that gets much more open, and the Eiffel Tower being constantly obscured from her view until she finally just sees it, and that's kind of her not understanding, not getting that she's better off without this guy, that she doesn't need to chase him, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally she just gets it out of the blue. And that's around the same time that she starts to have her closer interactions with Kevin Kline. But I think it shows that Billy Crystal, I think, is wearing too many hats. And Lawrence Kasdan is, focused on getting the best shots, making the movie look good, and having more movement and more interesting stuff.
I'm really sorry. You guys mentioned William Hickey, her father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I found this out. So I want to play a real quick game. Sorry, this should be an acting, so I don't know. Figure it out.
That's all right.
Anybody want to guess how old William Hickey was when they shot this? Throw a number out.
104.
70.
Fucking try. Make an effort.
86.
71.
He was 65.
60s. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I looked that up. You're right. It's weird because he looks significantly older than that.
My father is 69, and he doesn't move nearly this slow. And William Hickey's obviously he's an actor. He's pretending to be that old, but I mean, he was only 64 when they shot Christmas Vacation. And I watched Christmas Vacation. I go, oh my God, I'm only 24 years removed from that.
Wow.
So yeah, he is actually he died at 69, and he is way younger than he appears on screen. So
yeah,
I really thought I was watching this guy's last movie. Like I was like,
me too. That's why I looked it up.
Oh, I think it was his last. Was his last?
Oh man,
it was his last movie.
He doesn't look good.
Yeah, he died. I think he died shortly after it finished filming. Because I was doing the same thing. I'm like, how old is that guy? And then I looked it up. Jill and I had watched it together, and I'm like, can you believe he was only 60 something? Because he looks. She kind of, her jaw kind of dropped, and she's like, he looks like he's like 20 years older than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. He must have led a hard life, smoking and drinking.
I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful.
Tosh, anything you want to say about directing?
Nope, I agree with majority.
Okay.
I thought French Kiss was better directed by far.
All right. And I just want to also talk, since Tom brought it up, I should have brought it up during acting, but two scenes that I love in Forget Paris. Sorry, I was trying not to do, the thing that we've all been doing. is when he kicks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out of the game. And I love the meltdown, the breakdown, when he just starts throwing everyone out of the game. I don't know why, just makes me laugh. Hysterically laugh.
Yeah, I love that part too. That I laughed pretty hard at that because I've never seen it before, and that took me by surprise. That was good.
And then, Tom, you bring up the whole William Hickey thing and the whole "you want it, you got it" Toyota. It just, we kept saying that for the last few nights. You want it, you got it, Toyota. Just kind of under our breath to see if the other one will hear us. So yeah, all right, let's go ahead and vote. Tom.
I'm gonna stick with French Kiss on this one.
All right, Gabe.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with French Kiss. I think with it, like with everybody else, the directing wasn't bad in Forget Paris. It wasn't exceptional, and some of the shots in French Kiss were more definitely well composed.
I agree. Another one that comes to mind is when she's talking on the phone and she goes, "I will triumph," and it cuts to, of course,
The Arctic.
Yeah. Kyle.
To steal a basketball analogy from Forget Paris, make it a three-peat.
All right.
That's a deep cut. You guys, that's a way homer. You guys will figure that out on the way home.
Wow.
Tosh.
I'm already home.
Yeah, me too.
Shit, me too.
French Kiss.
All right. Wow, look at there. Director Lawrence Kasdan agreed to direct this film because he had just been involved on a difficult production shoot on Wyatt Earp. He would not have to write the screenplay first, and principal photography would involve a nice working holiday for he and his family in France. So those are the reasons he took it. In Forget Paris, the film provides a credit for the quote-unquote lighting of the Eiffel Tower. According to Billy Crystal, Paris officials required the credit in order to allow filming that showed the tower. So, there you go. All right, let's move on to our fourth and final round, which is overall.
I watched both these movies this morning. I watched French Kiss first. And while I was watching it, I texted Gabe and said, "Man, I'm struggling with this one." But then I Googled, "Where the hell is Meg Ryan?" Because where's she been? and that was a major mistake. Because then pictures came up of her, what she looks like now, and then I just couldn't. The bad plastic surgery that she had, then I couldn't get that out of my mind. So maybe that detoured me on this movie somewhat. But I know that shouldn't, but it really did. Like, what happened to her? It's like she was America's sweetheart in the 90s and late 80s, 90s, and then just fell off. Never to be heard from again.
She's on tour with Coolio and Hootie Blowfish.
Hootie, though, the guy who does Hootie Blowfish, he's a country singer now, so his career is fine.
He's doing quite well.
Yeah.
Coolio and Meg Ryan, they're just trying to figure something.
He did that Burger King commercial a few years back.
I think Julio's going to be at the Iowa State Fair, isn't he?
Yeah. So Meg Ryan might be there.
That's right.
Why wouldn't they be? And then I know this has nothing to do with overall, but Billy Crystal popped up today on Twitter. He was in a short about City Slickers. They revisited it, but they're in Westworld from the HBO series. Hilarious. So like Billy Crystal's a robot, but he just keeps doing the same loop as City Slickers. It's really funny. Funny or Die. Go check it out. It's really funny. I know I'm off topic here, but I'm just stalling because I really don't like French Kiss. So. Anyone else?
As I said, sorry, Gabe, I'm going to go first. So
no problem.
Good. So,
like I can stop you,
Gabe, you ignorant slut.
And you're still talking. That's kind of weird. Okay, so anyway, I think these are two movies that my wife really liked. They came out, when we were seniors in high school, and they were, romantic comedies, and we were, young and in love, so it hit a chord with us. There's lines from both movies that we use on a regular basis. The you want it, you got a Toyota line, and Meg Ryan's, beautiful postcard, wish you were here. We say that a lot, and What's the other one? Fester, 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 rot, rot, rot. When one of us are in a bad mood, we like that one. So, um, I just, I don't know. I don't have a problem. Obviously, if you've listened to other shows, I don't have a problem with movies that are, get real and, they kind of take on some of the hard truths of life. I do, but I just feel like Forget Paris didn't bring anything new to the table. And just like, we got some masturbation jokes and like, I don't know. It was just, it didn't, I don't know. It wasn't, and see, but now I have to prove that French Kiss did bring something new to the table. Or I contradict myself. And I'm painting myself into a corner.
Yep.
But French Kiss is a little bit more escapism for me. It's I don't know. It's the Con Air of romantic comedies, if you will.
Wow. I need to write that quote down. Hold on a second.
Of romantic comedies.
I'm not going to apologize. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to apologize for liking French Kiss.
Con Air must have come out much after French Kiss, but if you could go back in time and put that on the poster, that'd be great. The Con Air of romantic comedies. John Malkovich. That'd be great.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to French Kiss.
Nick Cage would have been great in Kevin Kline's role, trying the French accent and everything. Gabe, I was thinking when you said earlier about his jacket being too big, maybe it was made for a present-day Gerard Depardieu, and it's time traveled back. And so, for me, these... Sorry, he's not doing well, guys. I don't know if you know, but he's not having a great time.
No.
He changed his name, too. Did you see that?
No, to what?
Gerard Depardieu.
I walked right into that shit.
Oh
my God.
Wow.
You'll never hit a home run that clean again. I walked right into that like an idiot.
That was great, Tom. I'll give you credit for that one.
Oof. I appreciate it. It was a well-laid trap, and I sprung it. Forget Paris felt more. Maybe I've not been historically a big fan of romantic comedies, nor have I been a big fan of Billy Crystal. But that movie grew on me, and I came to like it. I do like it because it is more real, and it felt more original to me. But it does suffer from what there's not much escapism there. One of the things that really made me realize this is a movie and dumb is how much money would they have spent on airfare just to run back and forth at each other? It'd be a ridiculous amount.
For who? Wait. For who?
For her, I understand because she works for the airline, so maybe she gets perks and free flights.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a long way to go
to get laid.
And I think that's one of the. Well, I've done some strange things, but I suppose that's what a romantic comedy is, right? Is you have to kind of believe, you have to put aside these unbelievable details and focus on the love story, and so you don't think about everyone flying 7 hours back and forth all the time just to show up and go, I don't know if this is going to work. It seems ludicrous, but you have to set it aside for the movie. French Kiss just felt very samey to me. I just wasn't as into it as I thought I was, and I was surprised that I didn't enjoy it as I remember enjoying it when I've seen it earlier. And I had never seen Forget Paris, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I actually enjoyed that movie.
All right.
Yeah, I think we often talk about rewatchability, and I think if I had the opportunity to rewatch either of these, it would probably be Forget Paris for me. I enjoyed it a little bit more. I found it more relatable. I didn't hate French Kiss, but there were some things I definitely didn't like. I wasn't a big fan of Kevin Kline's accent, and I just didn't feel like their relationship. I didn't see the building blocks of that relationship necessarily. I mean, they were just kind of forced together, and I found it very predictable. I mean, I don't recall ever having seen that one before. I think, although I don't remember clearly, I may have seen Forget Paris before, but I don't think I saw French Kiss, and I pretty much predicted it, and I guess. It is kind of formulaic. I don't know. I'm trying to give it some credit, but to me it was really formulaic, and it was so predictable that it's like, well, there's no tension here. I don't know, I don't feel like, oh, well, maybe they won't get together, or what's going to happen? Will they get together? Are they really a good fit? I don't know. Whereas I felt that a little bit in Forget Paris. you could kind of predict that they were going to show up together at the dinner. Okay, yeah, they're going to come together. But there was a little bit of a question: will he show up on his own, and will she show up there, or how? If they get back together, how are they going to do it? I just felt it was a little less predictable to me, and that made it more enjoyable. If I know what's coming, why do I need to watch it? So I didn't hate French Kiss. I enjoyed it, but I just didn't think it was something that I would revisit in the future, like intentionally. Um, so I don't know. And sometimes I guess we have other topics we talk about in this category, things like music and that kind of thing. Did any of that stuff stand out to you guys? Did you feel like there was any like music or
Me,
oh,
me, me, me.
oh,
I noticed. I mean, most of the stuff was in French Kiss, which is understandable. But the song that they used, I believe, a couple times is the same song that they play in Blazing Saddles when Sheriff Bart gets his job, and he's going through the desert, and we see the orchestra there. That's the same song. Sorry, it just stuck out to me.
That's funny.
What can I say? But it's the same song.
yeah, Blazing Saddles has ruined it for you?
No, not ruined it for me.
It'll
It
always
was-
be funny.
Yeah, it'll always be funny.
Yeah.
I thought the music was a little bit too in your face in French Kiss, but I think that's kind of a problem that movie had with everything French. I know French is in the title, but all the French are stereotypical assholes. They're all smoking. They're very smug to Americans. Like, they're just all stereotypes. And it keeps hitting you in the face with, like, look, we got French music. It's France, and there's French music, and French people are dumb, and French people smoke. And I was just like, yeah, I didn't enjoy the music in French Kiss. And it was just me. I didn't even really notice it in Forget Paris, to be honest.
Yeah, and see that's one of those things that I feel like didn't stand out in either of these. A lot of the movies we watch, there's great music, there's a great theme in one of them or something, but in these it just didn't really. I'm not sure any of it really kind of stood out in any way, in a good way, anyway.
Let me see. I'm trying to think. So, for me, I know both these movies will be watched again in our house. Amanda really likes French Kiss, and if it's on, I'll watch it with her. And if Forget Paris is on, we'll probably watch it. I do really like the whole honor among thieves type thing they got going on between Kevin Kline and the other thief, the one that steals her bag.
Bub?
Yeah,
Bub?
Bub. And it cracks me up, like when he kicks open the door, he's like, Bub. He's still just sitting at his table. Like, they're just, the honor among thieves, I thought, was played up very well. Like, they knew each other, they knew what each other did, and it was, to me, that was pretty funny in what I pulled out of it. When it gets later into the film, to me, it just feels like, yeah, okay, she's gonna get back. She's gonna get back at her ex-fiance or boyfriend or whatever you want to call him, and that woman he's with is absolutely gorgeous. How did he get her? And I don't know. To me, it was very formulaic, and I know that's been repeated through this episode. And I have to agree with Tom too, where Forget Paris, you kind of need that escapism sometimes from the real life. I know I've had discussions with my wife about, well, what if this happens? What if this? And you have to learn to roll with the punches. And like Tom said, there really shouldn't be too much there. You just deal with it and you go on. But I mean, it does make for some drama. And I think that's what they were trying to use that for in Forget Paris. But yeah, definitely cinematography sticks out in French Kiss. Jean Reno sticks out. Half the cast of The Simpsons is in Forget Paris. So
Homer's driving the car.
Yeah, Homer's.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Dan Castellaneta.
But I saw in trivia that they said Harry Shearer was in it, and I don't remember him being in it, and he's not listed on IMDb. So I think either someone made a typo or he's just not credited with being in there, but I can't pick him out. So yeah, if you guys don't have anything else to add to overall, let's go ahead and vote. I'll take that as a vote. Tosh.
Forget Paris.
All right. Tom.
French Kiss.
Kyle.
You know, I was going to vote for Forget Paris, but since Tom got me so good with that Gerard Depardieu, I'm going to switch my vote to French Kiss.
All right.
Brian, that's fantastic.
And Gabe.
I'm going to go with Forget Paris because I think I would return to it.
All right.
To Paris or the movie?
Either, probably. Although I've never been to Paris, so
Well,
it's lovely.
Kyle knows my history with the French. He knows.
You're coming around to the French,
I am
though.
coming
You're coming around to the French.
But I have to agree, they are a bunch of a-holes. At least
they
in
just
the film.
they don't share our same cultural appreciation of
Fart jokes.
Well, I don't know how they feel about farts. They're just not as open and friendly, I think, as you would think of Midwesterners, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's
So I went to Paris, and I was at the Eiffel Tower, and this is a true story. I'm not making this up. I had some kind of like street vendor food thing. Cart was right next to it, and we were hungry, so we bought something. And in the Eiffel Tower Park, there's a ton of gypsies, like a ton of them. This lady comes over and speaks in French to me that she wants my food, and I said no. She touched my face and started rambling off, so I have a gypsy curse on me, and that's how I ended up on this. She did. I'm dead serious. She touched my face, and like there's a French dude. He goes, "She just put a curse on you," and I'm like, "Are you effing kidding me?"
Wow.
And look, it's paying off. I'm on Cinesmack.
That's right.
Right.
What the hell?
Right.
Welcome to your
I fail. I can't believe I'm going to lose month in and month out to a cursed albino. This just fucking sucks, man.
Well,
There's a certain level of hell for me.
The scary
I
part.
don't recall.
There's a Stephen King book in here.
The thinner, right?
Yeah,
But this
but
was
about an
called
albino.
The Whiter.
Yep. Yeah, wider.
The Whiter.
Just keeps getting wider and wider. I don't know. I don't recall getting cursed, but how did I get on this show?
You joined.
Yeah.
That means you chose this.
Oh man,
You
What
chose
a-
your demise.
It's really best if you don't think about it too hard.
It was like Gozer the Gozerian. You were like, I want to be on Cinesmack, and boom. As the closing credits roll, Meg Ryan asks Kevin Kline to sing that Bobby Darin song, and then begins to actually sing it somewhere. And Kevin Kline corrects her to state that it is a French song and begins to sing it in French, La Mer. That song was originally written by Charles Trenet. Maybe I'm saying it's French, Trenet, and then translated Trenoir, and then translated into English and recorded by Bobby Darin. Forget Paris includes on the court, of course we all know this, scenes with real-life basketball stars Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shawn Kemp, David Robinson. Star and co-star Billy Crystal grew up. Sorry, this is like really screwed up. This is like I wrote it. Star and co-creator Billy Crystal grew up with Abdul-Jabbar, played basketball as a youth, and is a longtime fan of the Los Angeles Clippers, plus a regular attendee of their games. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. He grew up with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's pretty crazy.
But he never played for the Clippers, did he? He played for the Lakers.
Yeah, he played for the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
But once again, when he kicks him out, that's fantastic when he kicks him out of the game.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our recommendations for this month. And I will go first. Yeah, I'll go first because I got to do math.
Are you going to tally up the votes, or is that after?
That's after.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
this is only my second show as a regular.
That's all right. You'll get it. My recommendation is the 2005 film starring Ryan Reynolds, Amy Smart, and Anna Faris. It's called Just Friends. For some reason, I love this romantic comedy, and it cracks me up. In fact, I want to try and get it onto the podcast during Christmas time because it happens over Christmas. you get to see Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit, and he is singing in the mirror, "I Swear" by All for One, and it instantly took me back to my bedroom as a chubbier kid singing "I Swear" into the mirror. So check out Just Friends. Tom.
You two were a Canadian in a fat suit. So.
Yes, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is too pretty to be that funny. It's really unfair.
Oh, God, it is very
really unfair. I'm going to recommend a movie that's out in theaters right now. I just saw called Split by M. Night Shyamalan.
Holy shit! Serious?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Why you didn't like it?
No, I think it's the first recommendation we've had of a Shyamalan movie ever. So
It's
cool.
been a long time since he made.
It's been a while.
Made something worth recommending, right? I mean, yeah, I was a big fan of Shyamalan back in the Unbreakable Sixth Sense days. Kind of fell off like a lot of other people in those middle movies, but this is a very. First of all, it's very different than what the trailer leads you to believe, but you get more into it in the theater. It has its flaws for sure, but I think James McAvoy delivers an incredible performance, absolutely incredible. And M. Night Shyamalan, once again, is in his own movie, so you can stick by to enjoy that. And it's one of the few movies where, to me, I thought I saw the twist coming, and the movie kind of keeps twisting, but then at the end there's this twist that I don't know how you could ever predict. So I really enjoyed it, and I'd watch it again just to watch James McAvoy chew scenery, because he really looks like he is enjoying the shit out of. I mean, he's been given this crazy job as an actor, and he's just eating it up. And I really enjoyed it.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Kyle. Tom.
Yeah, so if you want to watch a good French romantic comedy, then you should go to the French. And my recommendation is a 2001 movie called Amélie, starring Audrey Tautou, and it is a really great story. It's beautifully shot. It's wonderfully acted. I think it's top to bottom. It's really great, and it's a really fun movie. It's got some good sex scenes in it if you're into that kind of thing. The music's really good. I really like the directing personally. I think some of the shots are very beautifully done, and it's just it's a carnival ride through Paris, and I absolutely love it. So I would recommend Amélie because it's better than the two movies we talked about today.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, I have to agree with that pick, Tom. Amelie's very fun movie, very good movie.
Gabe, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna. It's not gonna be a romantic comedy or anything. I've been, HBO.
Oh,
Sometimes I don't know. They bring back old movies, and The Green Mile was on the other day, and I forgot how great of a movie that is. Now I imagine a lot of our listeners have actually seen The Green Mile, but if you haven't seen it, for a while, go back and watch it. It is still a great movie. It holds up today. It's beautifully shot, well written, well acted. The acting is fantastic. It's got a really strong emotional core. It's just a great movie, and it's a little bit long. And the pacing can be a little bit on the slow side sometimes, but it's just, man, you really can't beat it. And I had forgotten how great of a movie that is. So if you haven't seen Green Mile or you haven't seen it for a while, go watch it. It's a wonderful movie.
It is. And
even the visual effects hold up today.
All I get out of it is whenever Sarge has to go outside and it's either raining, snowing, any kind of inclement weather, he acts like he's walking the mile. So I go, walking the mile, walking the mile. Yeah. Good pick. Tosh.
I also am going with the HBO series, The Young Pope, starring Jude Law.
Oh.
It's about a pope that's the youngest pope ever, taking over for the fallen pope that died previously, and he is the biggest dick ever to everyone, and it's mostly about the Catholic politics, and it's really interesting, and it's funny too. Like, there's a lot of funny things happening, and I'm not sure they tend to be funny, but it comes off funny, and we've been enjoying it. It's a mini series that shows on Sundays and Mondays. They do 2 episodes in a row, and then the next Sunday, Monday, 2 more episodes. So it's almost over. It's really fun. Jude Law is really good in it, and yeah, I enjoy it.
Great. All right. Thanks, Tosh. All right. So let's poke the monkey, and then I'll explain why the film that won.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is French Kiss!
Remember Kyle's Asterix?
Yes.
Well, it was tied.
No. No.
So, since there's an asterisk, it goes to French Kiss.
Yes! This is the greatest!
I don't know. We're going to have to look into the rule book on that one.
I want to thank
Obviously, the
everybody
Russians
else down.
The Russians hacked it. It's obvious the Russians
Obviously.
hacked. Well, I went
I
to investigation.
don't know what you're talking about. I enjoy both movies. They are great.
Putin's presence is being felt in this podcast, and I'm pissed off.
Man. I want to thank Meg Ryan, Kevin Kline, Jean Reno, Larry Kasdan,
And
Jonah
Putin.
Johnston. Your costumes were awesome. I love you all. Sorry for everyone I forgot.
You need
And
to thank
Putin.
Gerard Depardieu. He got me to switch my vote because that awesome zinger.
He did. It's all owed to Gerard Depardieu.
God damn it. I have let us down. I apologize, gentlemen.
Don't feel bad. Oh, God, this is the first time it's ever happened. 72 shows.
Actually, no. Deep Impact beat Armageddon, which you really love too. So
I helped push that one over, but
Yeah.
I really feel like
Can
I pushed this one across the finish line. I really do.
we take a vote about voting Kyle off the team?
Oh, wow.
Don't worry about Kyle. You're safe.
Thanks, Tom.
One new member voting off the other. And then Tom and Tosh will be like canceling each other out. So it'll just
So
be me
basically, it
and
comes
Mike.
down to what Gabe
yeah,
thinks.
it'll just be me. Like everyone's a tie, and then I'm like, this one.
You could flip a coin.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting radio.
Right. Okay, let's move on to where people can stalk you on the Webernets. Let's start out with Gabe.
You can look me up on Facebook or check out onegenomeshort.com.
All right. Thanks, Gabe. Kyle.
You can find me on Facebook too. I am actively avoiding all political discussions my friends wade into. So that's where I'll be hiding if anybody's interested.
Hey, I'm in the bunker with you. Tom.
The usual places, Vimeo, Facebook, but most of the time people can find me in the lobby of the luxurious Georges V, making out with French supermodels and trading basketball tips with Spud Webb.
All right. Tosh.
I am not on Facebook. When it becomes not cool anymore, that's when I'll join. I'm still on MySpace. No, I'm kidding. You can find me on Twitter. Just Google or search Tosh Dillinger, and there you can find me.
All right. Well, you can follow me, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Just search my name. You'll find me if you really care to. I don't care. You can check out all of our films at, just about everyone on this series. Should we call it a series? Podcast? What would you call it? Podcast series?
Yeah, this is serial.
Epic.
Yeah, this is definitely serial.
Start everyone by saying this is serial. We'll get a lot more listeners.
This is serial.
Ran by Putin.
Ran by Putin. We've all worked on films together. You can check out SouthsiderStudios.com or search on YouTube, just Southsider Studios. And we would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use to listen to us. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack right after you search Tosh Dillinger. For March, we take on the stock market as the boiler room tries to outgain Wall Street. Sorry, that was really written bad. For Tom, Gabe, Kyle, Tosh, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
love you all.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.